Well, everyone, just as I stated earlier on in the show, April is National Donate Life Month. This month is near and dear to me. My first cousin, his name is Cedric. I actually tried to get Cedric to come on the show, but Cedric is very shy. Now, there are not many Locketts that are shy. We're all outgoing personalities, but Cedric is very, very shy. So he was like, no, that's all right. But Cedric actually had to have a heart transplant. And later on in life, he went through some more health issues, and he had to have some additional transplants. But he's been a recipient over almost 20 years, something like that. And he's still alive and well. And he has a great wife, praying wife. And he also has 4 sons. And those sons came after the transplant. So it's a testimony.
Yes, indeed.
But I do have another relative that is going to come on later on in the show, Kimberly. And you'll be able to hear her testimony. But it's near and dear to me because at the age of 16, when I received my driver's license, and of course they asked you, do you want to be a donor? And I said yes. And I'll talk more about that later on in the show. And so with that being said, we have a very special guest that is an advocate and a representative. And so I'm excited that she is going to be our special guest. I'm excited about that.
And a lot of people don't really know what American National Donate Life Month is, and so it's to help to encourage Americans to register as an organ, eye, and tissue donor, and to honor those that have saved lives through the gift of donation.
Yes.
And so that's why we have April is the National Donate Life Month.
Yes, indeed. And so again, we have a very special guest who's going to give us some more information, and I'm looking forward to that. So please, everyone, I want you to welcome to the show Woodley Ambrose.
We are the best.
All right. Hold on just a second right here. Okay, just a second. Hallelujah. All right. Amen. Amen. Woodley, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Christina. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you on the show. Like I said, it's near and dear to me. And actually, our co-host, Lady, she was just speaking earlier about even in her personal life, I think most of the times we don't always make the connection, but somehow, some way, we're all connected with someone who may be in need of a transplant or who has had a transplant. So before we kind of get into that, first off, would you tell everyone what you do as a manager of organ operations and recovery?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Woodley Ambrose, and I'm proud to say that I work for a wonderful organization known as Life Gift. And in my role as manager of organ operation and surgical recovery services, I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of the allocation of the organs, allocation meaning making sure that we find a home for the organs, and responsible for the preservation and the recovery portion of once the organs are prior to transplant.
Okay. I love it. And, again, thank you for taking time out to be a guest on the show. And would you talk more about April being the National Donate Life Month? Some people are not familiar with this month.
Okay. So, of course, like you mentioned earlier, April is known as Donate Life Month. And Donate Life Month is to bring awareness to transplant recipients, to bring awareness to donor families who've given the gift of life to others, and also to promote registration to be an organ donor, and to honor those who've given life. So it's to and also help educate the community in regards to organ and tissue donation.
That's good. Good. That's good. Thank you so much for kind of helping us to really understand. You know what? Many people know when Breast Cancer Awareness Month is. They know when Domestic Violence Awareness Month is, and different things like that. Why is it that we don't always know just automatically that April is National Donate Life Month? What are we missing?
It's a lack of education, a lack of knowing. There's more of awareness out there. For example, like you mentioned, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There is more. It's more in the media. It's more in social media. It's more out there. More people are talking about it. But with organ donation, we have a number of myths, a number of things that people believe in regards to organ donation that are not true. So it's for us to go ahead and bring it to the community to ensure that they are educated and aware of the importance of not only donating, but also the possibility of receiving the organ as well.
Okay. Well, while you are here and as our special guest, we want to kind of dispel some of the misconceptions. We want to do that. Can you tell us what is one of the number one misconceptions that you've noticed since you've really kind of been in this atmosphere and had the opportunity to work in your field?
One of the biggest myths that we have is if you become an organ donor and, God forbid, you get into a car accident or you experience a traumatic event and you have to go to the emergency room, that they will not take care of you, that they will not provide you with the uttermost care to ensure that you're able to survive. The myth is that because you're an organ donor and this is on your driver's license, that they will not do their best to go ahead and help you, provide you with the best medical care. The myth is that they will let you die if you be able to provide or donate your organs.
Interesting. And why do you think that myth is so prevalent?
I think it's a lack of education within the community. Because to be honest with you, in order for you to be an organ donor, your organs have to be in the best condition.
Okay.
So not everyone can be an organ donor. So it would not work if, let's say, for example, if you got into a car accident, God forbid, for you to go ahead for them not to take care of you, because at that point your organs will not be transplantable.
Okay. So sort of, can you kind of go into if someone wants to be a donor, what are the qualifications or how do you become a donor?
There's many ways you can go ahead and be a donor. You can go ahead on the DonateLifeTexas.org registry and register to be an organ donor. You can register to be an organ donor when you do your vehicle registration. You can register to be an organ donor when you sign up for your driver's license or when you renew your driver's license. There are a number of avenues that we have where you can be registered to be an organ donor.
Okay. So for someone who's hesitant about being a donor, who haven't yet made that decision, is there any words that you would give to them?
I would encourage them to be educated on the topic. Life Gift, we do have our Ambassadors of Hope, the volunteers program, where we go out there and do education within the community to make sure that we're dispelling any myths. Organ donors save lives. For example, we have it where there are about 32% of patients, African American, who are waiting for a kidney transplant. And we have about 35% of those patients who are receiving dialysis. And dialysis could be very taxing on an individual. They're going to dialysis 3 days a week. I mean, it's very hard for them to travel and go with their day-to-day lives. Mm-hmm. Being an organ donor or given the gift of organ donation will help someone see tomorrow, will help someone be able to graduate from high school, will help someone be able to walk their daughter down the aisle. So being an organ donor, you're a hero, and there's no better gift than giving the gift of life.
Absolutely.
Amen. I agree with you on that. The gift of life. Like I said, I know that you have experience working in this arena and educating people. Now that people they seem to be more open. What do we do so that they can even spread the word as well?
I would help people become advocates of the organ donation. Like you mentioned earlier, someone knows someone who needs an organ donor, whether it's a friend or it's a relative. When you least expect it, you have people who need an organ donor. Right now, with COVID being so prevalent, we have a number of people who, because of COVID, they go into multi-system organ failure where they need lung transplant, where the kidneys are failing. So I think being advocates and educating, I think now we're doing a better job with bringing awareness in regards to organ donation. But I feel like there's so much more that we can go ahead and do with educating the community, making sure that they're aware. With the churches, with schools, with our hospital partners, making sure that everybody is aware of the importance of being organ donors, and to dispel any myths out there, to make sure that they have the information necessary.
Well, one fact that I want to share is one organ donor can save up to 8 lives, and a tissue donor can save more than 75 lives. Now, can you share with us what's the difference in being an organ donor versus being a tissue donor? Or when you automatically say, I'm going to be a donor, is it just understood that you're going to both donate organs and tissue?
So, yes. So if you're registered, you have the option to donate both organ and tissue. So if you go, for example, on the donatelifetexas.org registry, you fill in your information and you have the option to select the organs and the tissues that you'd like to donate. You'd like to register to donate. So you do have that option. But like you said, for example, heart valve is a tissue, and we have numbers of children waiting for a heart valve, and they're small children, so that can help go ahead and save lives. So because you're not able to be an organ donor doesn't necessarily mean you cannot be a tissue donor.
Okay.
We have skin, that you're able to donate to help burn victims. So there's a number of ways you can help.
That was something new for me. So yeah, so I thought I knew some things. You just yeah, that was new for me. I did not know that. So that's great. That is great. See, that's what I'm talking about here on the Christina Lockett Show. We just want to open up doors, help you get informed, and allow you to make the decision that's best for you and your family.
An educated decision.
Your organization, can you tell us more about your organization and what you all do?
Okay, so with Life Gift, we're the organ procurement organization for the North, Southeast, and West Texas areas. So we go out there and we help with educating the community in regards to organ donation. We're an organ and tissue bank, so we do organ recovery and tissue recovery. And we are affiliated with an eye bank. So it's organ, tissue, and eye recovery when one register, one to register for. We believe promoting education, bringing awareness, and we're an advocate not only for the recipients, but we're also an advocate for the donor family who've made such a difficult decision on the most difficult day of their life to be an organ donor.
Mm-hmm. And what is there one specific organ or tissue that is needed more than another? And have you, can you enlighten us on that?
Sure. We have people who are waiting for all organs, but the organ that has the higher waiting list is the kidney.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
We have more people waiting for kidneys than any other organ.
Well, I want to share a statistic since you mentioned that. 2020, African Americans represented 13.4% of the overall U.S. population, but made up 35% of all patients in the U.S. receiving dialysis for kidney failure, and 32% of patients waiting for a kidney transplant. Those of you who follow me, you know that my father recently passed away, but my dad was on dialysis. But he was not eligible to be a kidney transplant recipient because of his heart issues, and his age. There were some other factors that he was not eligible to be a kidney transplant recipient. However, he successfully received dialysis, and he used to go 3 days a week. And so that's why, again, these issues and this topic is near and dear to me. Mm-hmm. And that is a concern. that African Americans, we're having kidney failure and other issues as well. And some of the kidney failure has to do with the fact that our numbers for diabetes is high, and diabetes can
be a contributor to
yes,
that.
indirectly affect your kidneys, especially the medication, all that great stuff. We're not great stuff is not great, but we don't necessarily want to go that deep. But there's a lack in our community. It's a lack of willingness to be donors in our community. And perhaps it's just some of our old school beliefs. And then some of it, I think, is recently, within the last few years, about this organ stealing, or what is it that they believe people, they're harvesting our organs. What can we just dispel that myth? Can you do that for us, Woodley?
Sure. I'll be more than happy to do that. So there is a myth, like you mentioned, like, for example, they'll go out there and they're killing people, they're killing African Americans just to obtain their organs. The process of obtaining organs is a rigorous process. And when I say rigorous, there are tests and examination diagnostics that one would have to do to make sure that you're a match for the organ. So, for example, if, God forbid, I was hit by a car on the street and they found me laying on the street, they wouldn't be able to just find me and say, okay, here's someone on the street, let's go ahead and take her heart out. It doesn't go that way. There's tests that have to be done. If I'm already laying on the street and I'm already dead, I wouldn't be able to have my organs transplanted. So I would have to still have, have a heart beating prior to. And when I say heart beating, like that, we're doing it with live people, like, the patient has to be declared brain dead for us to be able to recover the heart. I wouldn't be able to be laying on the street and they say, okay, here's someone here, let's go ahead and take their organs.
Right.
That's not how it goes. And that's the myth that's out there, that they think that they're just going to kill anybody and take their organs. There's a lot of tests that need to be done, a lot of diagnostics that we need to make sure this person is actual a match. Because if you receive an organ and you're not a match for that organ, that will kill you. That could possibly kill you.
Exactly. And it's important to understand, too, is how you die. And how you die will determine, what organs are viable, what they can do. And, of course, like she stated earlier, if you're even qualified to be a donor, because it depends on how you're living and your health, and it's a lot of factors involved. So hopefully we have dispelled that myth. So before we get you off the air, I want to say that we do share something in common, Willie. We are both TSU graduates, Texas Southern University in the house.
Yay! Awesome. Great school.
And I know, of course, you furthered your education beyond Texas Southern University. And for someone that is not in your field, I was looking at all the letters after your name when I was preparing for your interview, and I'm like, I don't really know what all those letters stand for, but I know that this young lady is important and educated.
Thank you. And the job that we do on a daily basis is very important. And I feel privileged to be able to work for this organization and to be able to serve such a life-saving mission to make sure that we're able to provide the gift of life.
The gift of life.
The gift of life. That's very important.
I love it. Well, I would love for you to take, a minute or two as we begin to close your interview out and just share something that you feel like our listening audience is just something that they just need to know as it relates to National Donate Life Month.
I just want to share with everyone, first, thank you, Christina, for having me this evening. But I want to show everyone, please remember, when you're given the gift of life, that's the most precious gift you can give to someone. That's giving life to someone's mom, someone's sister, someone's child, someone's dad, someone's cousin, aunt, uncle. Make sure we're making educated guests. Seek out information. Talk to people. Make sure that you're educated in before you make a decision. Because giving the gift of life is something that it's immeasurable. There's something you can't put a price tag on that.
Yes.
So just make sure that when we're given what we're doing it with sound judgment, and we're educated on the information that's being provided.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Thank you so much. Will you spotlight your organization? And I'll go ahead and share that. For more information, you can also register at www.donatelifetexas.org, and that they also have a outlet for you to register. But I also, at this time, really want to spotlight your organization.
Yes. Life Gift is one of the 3 OPOs here. And you can also reach out to us as well. We do have Ambassadors of Hope and a department that can go ahead and help with educating the community in regards to organ and tissue and eye donation.
All right. Life Gift is on social media. So you can definitely follow them on social media and reach out to them directly. Thank you so much, Woodley. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, Christina, and thank you for the good job that you're doing.
All right, thank you. Lady, I learned some things that I didn't know before.
So did I. I didn't know that you could donate skin.
Yes.
I did not know
You
that.
know, especially, like she said, for even a burn victim. And, you know, of course, we have skin cancer and other different things that can harm our skin and may need for some type of transplanting to happen. And, you know, it's all about informing yourself, getting educated. You know, you may decide to make that decision.
Right. And I think it's important to bring awareness to this, because I will admit that it just never really crossed my mind, you know, about being a donor. I have not registered to be a donor. I'll share that. And after listening to Woodley and the importance of giving hope and giving life to someone, it really has me thinking, you know, I'm kind of thinking about that. So it's definitely something I'm going to consider.
Yes.
You know, and much like me, I hope our listeners also, you know, was inspired by this whole interview, and maybe who are not donors, now they're kind of thinking about it and thinking about the importance of being a donor and how it can help save a life.
If that's the case, then we did our job.
We did our job.
So thank you
and
again.
Let's bring the awareness to National Donate Life Month.
Yes. And I just want to say thank you again. We can't thank her enough for taking time out. And at this time, too, we definitely want to give a special just love and shout out to one of their team members who was originally going to be on the show, but her father passed away a couple of days ago. So we're sending our love out to her as well.